Hi, my name's John and welcome to Ask John D. Jones. Okay, so in today's episode I'm going to talk about the differences between IR35, inside IR35, permanent employment and freelance. So over the last few months I've been talking a little bit about IR35. For anyone new to me, my name's John. I've been a contractor for about 11 years inside the UK. So I've been running a company for 11 years. I've known that there's these IR35 changes coming along, and recently my contract's about to expire just before the end of the tax year, so I've been looking for new opportunities. Now, as part of these looking for new opportunities, I've actually had to come across different sort of ways of working. Now, the thing that I found with the market at the moment within London is that there are some outside IR35 jobs. At the moment, a lot of those roles, though, they're for smaller sized companies, so they're for agencies who, or smaller companies, less than 50 people, and their turnaround is less than 5 million. Now, my background is sort of quite big projects where I've worked on some big brands. So one thing you need to think about is if you want to stay self-employed or you want to work, outside of IR35, what you're going to have to think about is potentially the people you work with, the clients you work on, and the projects you need to work on are going to probably change slightly. Now, for some people, if you're just in it for money, you might not care. For people who sort of just like working with big brands or like a little bit more stability, then it might be something you need to consider. Okay, so recently I've also got an offer which is an inside IR35 role. Now, the inside IR35 role is a little bit interesting. So the things which the normal inside IR35 rule has is there's a zero day notice period. This means that they can get rid of you at any time, don't have any sort of benefits. The other interesting thing about inside IR35 is obviously because you're still a contractor, you don't have any of the permanent benefits. So aside from the 0 day notice period, you won't have any holidays, you won't have any sick days, you'll still be a contract, and you'll still be paying exactly the same amount of tax as a normal employee, a permanent person would be. Now, this is sort of an interesting sort of dilemma, because at the moment, especially in the London UK market, most of the inside IR35 roles I've actually seen equate to the same role as a permanent salary. So if you have two options, one pays X amount of money, which is a temporary contract which you can get fired at any time, then that might be something you want to consider. But if you're thinking you might be able to get a permanent role, that permanent role will come with like holiday, sick pay, training, all that sort of good stuff. Then again, it's just something you need to consider. So the next one obviously on the list is permanent. Now, if you've been a contractor like I have for 10 years, the thought of being permanent and changing how you operate, potentially closing your company down, might be a very painful thought to have. It definitely was for me, and I've really been on the fence and thinking about it. Now, one of the issues, as I said, is that just the nature of the work and how things are changing for this period of time in 2020 is a little bit crazy. I spoke to a number of recruiters over the last 3 or 4 weeks. They're all saying the same thing, and most people's opinion is, it's like a stock market crash, that at some stage there'll be a correction and things will sort of balance themselves out. But say for the next 6 months, maybe the next year, things are going to be a little bit difficult. So here's a hypothetical situation. Now, let's say you can get a £100,000 permanent opportunity. Now, how does that relate to the other opportunities? So if you're inside IR35, to get the equivalent of say 100 grand from a permanent opportunity, you'd have to be on around £580 per day. Now, obviously, you've got to think about that you'll still probably have a 0 day contract, you won't have any permanent, you won't have any holiday, sick pay, but just like for like, you'd probably need to get 580. So this means that, say, if you see a job opportunity for £450 a day inside IR35, might seem like quite a lot of money, but actually if you try and equate it to your permanent salary or something, like for like, you might actually find that going inside IR35 pays exactly the same as permanent opportunities. And in the last couple of months, pretty much all the inside IR35 opportunities I've seen, they have really worked out. Now, again, if you can get outside IR35, you want to be a contractor, you want to live the good life and carry on as normal, then 100 grand a year probably equates to about £440, £450 per day. Now this makes life interesting because if you've been contracting for big banks or something like that, you probably are used to a much bigger salary. And the problem is that when you're working with smaller clients and smaller companies, they tend to pay not as well as some of the big companies because they just generally can't afford it. So then you have this sort of interesting dilemma going on. This is one that I'm definitely going through myself. I know a lot of friends who are contractors and they're also going through the same thing. Now from people that I spoke to, the general consensus sort of seems to be that, you know, inside IR35, unless the day rates go up dramatically, that, you know, there's no point in just having a wage, not getting any of the benefits of permanent employment and just getting paid pretty much at the same, at the end of the year, the same amount. I have managed to find 2 inside IR35 contract opportunities, and they've both been quite good, but again they've just been very different in the nature of you know, the clients who I'll be working with, the responsibilities, the size of the team. So I guess if it's up to you, you need to make this decision of, if you've always been working with small companies, it might be okay for you, but if you've been used to having, you know, big stability of working with big companies, working on big brands, that sort of stuff, then you're really going to have to think of, you know, what's more important to you. Is it potentially taking home a little bit more money, or is it, you know, potentially going to a permanent opportunity where you might have more roles, more responsibilities? You might be able to go into like a head of technology or a head of whatever you're doing, UX design, head of project management, which, you know, you can't get these opportunities in a contract market. Now the other thing you need to consider about this is, if you're thinking about going outside IR35 and going in the contract route, historically it's normally taken me about 1 week to 2 weeks to find a new contract role. This time it's taken me 4 weeks to get one contract role. Now, say if I'm in a 3-month contract or a 6-month contract, I never used to worry about it before because I could constantly, pretty much guarantee that I'd constantly get a new contract and I'd be working throughout the year. If I had to get three-month contracts and each time it took 1 month for me to find a new one because things are a little bit more crazy at the moment, then obviously at the end of the year I'm actually going to be losing out on, you know, a good 8 or 12 weeks worth of pay. And potentially, you know, when you factor that in, you could actually end up with getting paid a little bit more outside IR35, but actually through all the time and effort you're going to find new contracts, or the effort you have to go to find new places, that potentially for 2012 in London that you may want to actually think about going permanent. So anyway, I mean, it's not all doom and gloom, to be fair. Like, we're all contractors, we all work in a well-paid job. We're all, you know, none of us is broke. We're all going on like a few holidays. You're all probably living in a nice area to live in. It's just one of these things, is a massive change. And also, as I've been saying to a lot of my friends and we've all been saying, is that this isn't forever. If you want to go into a permanent opportunity and you're there for a couple of years and it works out, brilliant, you might be able to progress your career. Potentially you can get somewhere higher that you never thought you could. If you want to carry in outside IR35 and you can scrape by, potentially because rates have dropped a little bit, you might end up having to struggle and find a bit more work over the next year. But realistically, I was looking for 4 weeks. I had like 3 or 4 job opportunities. You're going to find something. I think in a year's time everything will even itself out and there'll be better opportunities. So it really is just looking at, you know, what you want, where you want to see your career progress, what sort of companies and clients you want to work with for the next 12 months. And potentially, if you've been thinking about going permanent or doing something slightly different, this could be the ideal situation to give that a try, just to see what it's like, because, you know, there is a lot more candidates. The nature of the work, there's just less contract work available in the UK at the moment, so it's just something to consider. Anyway, hope this has been beneficial for some people. Until next time, I will catch you later. Obviously, if you want to learn a little bit more about outside IR35, go over to my website. It's johndjones.com. Over there, there's loads of stuff, loads of videos, tutorials on Umbraco, Episerver. If you want to be an absolute boss and become a legend, make my day if you subscribe to my channel. I'm just trying to grow it. Obviously I do these videos for free and I just do it to try and help people out. So if you found it beneficial, please subscribe or just like the video, because that will help more people see it. If you've got some thoughts about IR35, you're not happy about it, you found loads of opportunities, you found something different, then please leave a comment below. Until next time, see you later.